Hello everyone, my name is Matthew Mijieski, and today I will be presenting a small lesson activity that can be used for Ricardo, who's an ELL student. Ricardo is a very hardworking young man, and today we are going to be going over the novel Esperanza Rising by Pam Ryan. Um, the book itself is a beginner novel, and it's aimed for students 12 and up. I think that it's a really good novel to focus on for an ELL student because it's something that they can relate to. It's about a coming-of-age story where a young woman faces a horrific tragedy in her homeland, and she comes to America, and it explains the different challenges and the different uprisings and upbringings that she has to deal with throughout it. And it's just very inspiring to read it, and it's just a very good piece to start off a beginner ELL student with. The activity that I would use with Ricardo would be something where it would be more project-based, but instead of it being a group project, it would be more individualistic, just to be able to let students express themselves. I'm a strong believer that using your own personal opinion to relate to a novel makes things much not easier to understand, but it just makes it a more enjoyable experience for the teacher and the student. The small activity that I would do would be something like this, where they get to draw a picture of like a vegetable or anything that any of the chapters in the novel represent. Like the chapters are named after specific things, such as a la cebolla, which is an onion, or las papas, which is a potato, and they could pick a specific chapter, and then they could use things that they think stands out to them within the chapter. Like I did an example here, and you could use words in the onion chapter such as kindness and learning new life skills or loving what you have and stuff like that. They're the main themes and concepts that are represented through Esperanza in each chapter. And by doing this, it not only helps them focus on what the important things are in the chapter itself, but it also gives them the ability to express themselves personally through that character, through me, and through the rest of the students in the class. It gives opportunities for different students to put their own personal spin and opinion on things that happen within the chapter. The lesson presentation itself would be conducted where I would show a small example on the board, using their own personal discussions to add to the picture that I would draw on the board. So it would be something that we recently went over. Like, let's say if we read the Las Papas chapter, and the Las Papas chapter focuses on caring for Esperanza's sick mom, worrying for when tragedy strikes, learning to knit a blanket to help represent like family values throughout the story. And things like this I would put up on the board, and I would ask the students what they think would be a good word or phrase to use for this specific chapter, and we would create a small example just to give them a good idea of what to do. And then I would ask them to, they don't have to be an artist, but I would ask them to draw something in the middle that represents the chapter. It doesn't necessarily have to be the chapter's name itself like I showed on mine. I think it would be a good idea to use that because then you can centralize themes around the chapter itself. But if there's also something else like the caring for the sick in the Las Papas chapter, then they could draw something such as a hospital or anything else that represents that matter. At the end of the lesson, I would just ask them, they could use coloring pencils, they could use markers, anything that they'd like to make it colorful. I think that it would just be a really good way for these students to express themselves fully through art and through visual literacy instead of just reading the novel itself. I also believe that using this gives them another opportunity to gain an educational experience through something besides the book and besides my own personal lecture and just giving them the facts. So I hope that you enjoyed this. This is just something small that would be used for this entire novel, and I think that it could be useful as well because you can use different aspects and different pictures and different chapters to help centralize themes throughout the entire story, and just instead of just one simple thing. I hope everybody enjoyed this, and thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it.